interference, and then it came out that Florida Governor Rick Scott is suing the Broward election supervisor and the Palm Beach County election supervisor. Now, the first lawsuit claims that Snipes, the Broward election supervisor, is withholding voter and ballot information that legally must be turned in, thus violating public records law. The second lawsuit claims that Butcher, the Palm Beach County election supervisor, refused to allow party representatives to properly witness defendants' processing and duplication of physically damaged absentee ballots, an alleged violation of state law, and that the elections office failed to allow the Palm Beach County Canvassing Board to execute its statutory duty to determine all valid votes from overvoted and undervoted absentee ballots. Rick Scott, who's the current governor in Florida but running for a Senate seat, did hold a roughly 15,000 vote lead, but yesterday, Thursday, results from around the state were still trickling in, reducing his lead from 15,000 to just over 8,000. And then in the governor race between DeSantis and Gillum, DeSantis had a lead of just over 36,000, which has now been reduced to roughly 29,500. However, the largest percentage change has been in the race for Commissioner of Agriculture and Consumer Services, which swung in the complete opposite direction. Republican Matt Caldwell was up by about 4,000 votes, but then Democrat Nikki Fried went ahead by 2,900. And of course, these numbers will continue to change and update. So the question could now be asked, well, what does it matter? These are real votes coming in from real people that they cast in the appropriate time frame, right? Well, not necessarily. And I think that the Speaker of the Florida House said it best when he said, as the other 65 counties know too well, this is not the first time Palm Beach and Broward counties have failed its citizens, but it should be the last, he wrote. The power of the vote is only as strong as the trust in the count. With each new ballot found, that trust erodes. And if we remember back to the midterms in 2002, Broward County found about 100,000 lost votes. It didn't change the results, but they found 100,000 lost votes. But it's not just the fact that new ballots are being found. It's that no one knows where they're coming from. I mean, a Florida teacher, Lakeisha Williams, found a provisional ballot box in a storage area at the elementary school 2 days after the election. It was apparently left behind by workers. And believe it or not, none of these found ballots help Republican margins. For those who don't know, Palm Beach and Broward County are adjacent to each other on the southeastern part of Florida, and both areas safely have a Democratic majority. So it's not strange that these counties would tip the percentages, but finding left behind ballots seems way too coincidental. Not to mention that there's another aspect to all of this. Remember that I said that the Broward County election supervisor is Brenda Snipes? Well, it just so happens that the Broward County elections supervisor was ruled to illegally have destroyed ballots cast in the 2016 Democratic congressional primary. The election supervisor was Brenda Snipes. She discarded thousands of ballots that made an inspection of the results impossible. Snipes ignored and illegally obstructed an official request to copy and inspect the ballots. So she ignored the request. It's not like she just accidentally messed up. This article was from May 14th of this year, and they even say that it'll be interesting to see how this election tampering will affect midterms. And sure enough, here we are. Snipes is at it again. But the question that I have is, why is she at it again? Who let her remain as the election supervisor? And of course, I tried to find the answer, and it seems like a county election supervisor is a fairly high-level position. I mean, the state's division of elections seems to be the place to contact for voter fraud. So perhaps that's the agency in charge of overseeing the election supervisors. I mean, if anyone can offer some clarity on how Brenda Snipes remained a county election supervisor, then I'll pin the comment so everyone else can see it. Not to mention that Florida law requires counties to report early voting and vote by mail tallies within 30 minutes of polls closing. And here we are on Friday. The election was on Tuesday, and 2 Democrat strongholds are still counting the votes and refusing to disclose how many ballots they have left to count. There's definitely something going on here, and this can't just be left up to Democrats to handle because it's been shown how it's handled when they're put in charge. You get voter fraud. Democrats will scream about foreign election interference on a faulty basis, but then commit domestic election interference. And it's not all Democrats. There's a lot walking away from the party as it gradually becomes more corrupt and extremist. That's a pretty commendable thing, although there's clearly not enough Democrats walking away. Now, the last point that I want to make in this video is that in August of 2017, the US had 3.5 million more registered voters than live people of voting age. That opens the door for election fraud. And this is why Democrats scream about purging voter rolls as suppressing the vote when it's not. It's cleansing out these 3.5 million based on criteria completely unrelated to race, religion, gender, or political affiliation, even though the left will try to drum up support by claiming that Republicans are racist for not wanting a system primed for election fraud. And within the very same month of August 2017, there were 11 California counties with more registered voters than voting age citizens. One of them is Los Angeles County, as if that's a surprise, clocking in that of all their citizens who could register to vote, 144% have. You don't have to be a math whiz to know that that makes no sense. So that's really all that I have to share right now in this election fraud. As it develops, I'll cover more of it likely tomorrow in the live stream. So thank you all so much for tuning in. Donation and Patreon links are below if you'd like to support my work beyond the support of watching my videos and subscribing, of which I'm incredibly grateful for.